Hi, hello friends and strangers, welcome back to Pam Shenanigans, and I finished the Decagon House Murders last night, and I can see why it's called the Japanese cult classic mystery, because it had almost like, it hits a lot of prompts, like there are murders going on, there is a certain murderer, obviously, and the characters are in a spooky house wherein murders have already happened. And it's good. It's like it's not meant to be compared to how horror, thrillers, suspense books, mystery books are written right now. But I feel like this book is one of the books that could inspire other books. So just a brief background on this book, I'm gonna read the blurb. The lonely rock-bound island of Tsunojima is notorious as the site of a series of bloody, unsolved murders. Some even say it's haunted. One thing's for sure, it's the perfect destination for the K University Mystery Club's trip. But when the first club member turns up dead, the remaining amateur sleuths realize that they will need all of their murder mystery expertise to get off the island alive. As the party are picked off one by one, the survivors grow desperate and paranoid, turning on each other. Will anyone be able to untangle the murderer's fiendish plan before it's too late? So it's pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward. I liked it enough to be able to recommend it to other mystery lovers out there. It's not mind-blowing per se, but the ending is kind of open-ended. It's nice in that way. Like, towards the end, I was getting kind of bored. The author explained who the murderer is and going back to how that murderer was able to pull off the murders that happened. So it became kind of draggy for me because I already know what happened with the murders, the earlier murders, but the author had to recall in order to apply how the murderer did that. So it was okay anyway, it's just I already knew what happened, but then I didn't guess who the killer was, and that's one of the best points of the book. And I think I'm turning this into a vlog because the second book that I'm planning to read is Velvet Was the Night by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and I already have the audiobook borrowed from Libby, and that's my next read. I'm going to update you when I'm reading Velvet Was the Night already or after I'm done reading it. So bye bye.
One eternity later.
Hi, hello friends and strangers. Just coming in to provide a quick update on where I am with Velvet Was the Night by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and I think I'm 70 or 60% done with the book, and I'm also listening to the audiobook to help me immerse myself in the book, and so far it's good. There's a lot of build up, and right about where I am right now, that's where the suspense and mystery part of the plot comes in, and so far I am hoping that this will be a 5-star read for me. And so far even the writing is very compelling, and it's making me curious as to how all of these things are going to tie up together, because there are different people involved from different parties, and it's as if it's now culminating into one huge plot twist of some sort. So I'm really just trying to get into that, or I'm just waiting for that to happen. So far it's really good. And say hello to my pigtail. My hair is long enough to be on a pigtail as small as this, and when I'm done I think I'm gonna have to check in, or if anything happens in the book I'm gonna check back in.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
Hi again, friends and strangers. It is now October 20, and my last update was October 7. I just haven't been in the right headspace to create videos and even edit the current ones that I have. But my last update, I remember that it was about Velvet Was the Night, and I was around 70% into the book when I made the update, and I've already read books after reading Velvet Was the Night, and it was a great book. It was a great book, and I liked it. I give it like 4 stars. I think one of the things that I also got wrong about this book is that I thought, or I assumed, or I've also read that it was a thriller book, mystery thriller book, and I'm glad that Silvia Moreno Garcia, the author, clarified that, which I'm gonna get to very shortly. But I want to preface this update by saying that by giving like a very brief description as to what the book tackles. The book tackles the events that happened during the Dirty War in Mexico City, and it is where the government, also supported by the United States, wherein the government was behind the disappearance of the students, and they hire gangs or thugs to rough up this oppositions or this rebellions in order to silence and in order to repress demonstrations and such. That's also why this book is categorized as historical fiction and noir. It's not a thriller book at all. It does have mysterious aspect to it because someone has disappeared, and the mystery aspect of it is finding out who this person really is, how they disappeared, and how it all connects to the overarching plot of the book. As I mentioned in my previous update, there are a lot of people that is involved in the story, meaning there is more than one POV, and it culminates towards the end, like how this POVs and how these people connect. It's really good. Like, when I was reading this book, it was playing out like I was watching a movie. So it's like a movie in my head. And it's very gritty, it's very dark, it's violent, there's torture, there's murder, so please take a look at the content and trigger warnings first before you pick this book up. I'm going to read some things that Silvia Moreno Garcia clarified and made a point about her book. Velvet Was the Night is my 7th novel. It's historical and noir. There is no sci-fi element. This is definitely not horror. It's also not like Mexican Gothic or a Mexican Gothic sequel. What is noir? This is a noir, not a thriller. Both genres get confused. The stakes in noirs are smaller. Noir is also confused with its younger cousin, domestic noir. Domestic noirs tend to focus on upper class, white women and often deal with the home as a space of danger and conflict. Velvet Was the Night is historical, simmering noir, and its theater is not the domestic but a vast city in turmoil. I think that's a very great point to bring because I've read only very few noir novels and like short story collections, and it does have some thrilling aspects to it, so it's kind of hard to distinguish both. But I think I kind of get the difference with noir. I think it's also much realistic, at least with the noirs that I've read. There's a political backdrop, there's government involvement, there are the comparisons are like light being shed on privilege. It shows the issues on elitism and things like that. So it's kind of, which if you think about it, can also be tackled in thriller books, but I think with noirs it's much more showcased and it's not written in a way that would make you guess who the killer is or guess what would happen next in terms of what the plot twist would be. So I don't know, I think I'm just running on with the point, but Sylvia Moreno Garcia was able to explain it much better than I did. Yeah, it was a really good book. Do pick it up. And I listened to the audiobook as well. It was also fantastic. It did make for a more compelling read compared to just reading it with my eyes. The next book that I picked up is so why did I add, I think it's wrong that I added Velvet Was the Night in this video when the point that was being made is that it's not a thriller book, but then here we are. I'm just gonna retain Velvet Was the Night in this video just to clarify. It is historical noir, not a thriller, but it does have mysterious aspects to it, so I guess it passes off for the concept of this video, which is to read books with mysterious aspects, thrilling, horror, whatever. So anyway, going forward, I read the next thriller book that I read is For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. The only Samantha Downing book that I've read before For Your Own Good was My Lovely Wife. I freaking love that book. That was such a fucked up book, and if you haven't read it yet, I think it's also best to read that first. At least you get a glimpse of Samantha Downing's writing and how thrilling it could be. I remember adding For Your Own Good in my 2021 anticipated book releases video, and I also remember not being able to explain the plot properly without reading the Goodreads blurb. And upon reading it, I kind of see why, because it's hard to explain without giving too much. My number one takeaway with it is that we humans tend to do things that we think are selfless or are for other people, but we don't see the real intentions behind it. So like characters in this book, particularly one who is a teacher in this high school, and this teacher made it a goal, it's like his life goal to protect his students, to lead them in the correct path no matter what the consequences of that teaching would be. And he takes it so far. He always prefaces it by saying that my students need me, my students need to learn this and that in order for them to be successful in whatever careers they're gonna take. I liked For Your Own Good. Like, it plays out so well, and it's not the type of thriller wherein it's the whodunit, but for the other characters in the book, it's gonna be that way because they don't know who's doing this. We get the perspective of the teacher who is doing this shady shit, and we already know that it's him. And the thrilling part comes in when we don't know what would happen to the teacher, whether he's gonna be made accountable, whether he's gonna get caught. I mentioned that this teacher was the main character in the book, made it his life goal to discipline and teach his students the right way, which is his way. And he's gonna do everything, and he's gonna do everything to anyone no matter the risk. And he's very smart and he's very careful. The whole time that you're reading, you're like, wow, the audacity of the caucasity. I think it's safe to say that I think with most of the books that I read, it's mostly the white people, the white characters who have the audacity to do shit, to do stunt like this. I liked it. A trigger and content warnings on the book involves poisoning, bribery, blackmailing, sexual assault, and murder. Lots of murder, lots and lots of that. I am currently reading a middle grade book. Wait, hold on, I'm just gonna quickly check it if it's middle grade. It's fantasy, horror, paranormal, ghosts, mythology, and cultural, because Asian representation. So that's what I'm currently reading. I started it just last night and I'm already on like 70% right now. I started reading again after work. It's really good. It's really good so far. It's tugging at my heartstrings. It's like you just can't stop reading it. It's so good. The writing is fantastic. The writing is just wonderful. It's so good so far, and I feel like I have a feeling that I'm gonna cry over this book. I don't know, maybe it's just something will happen, but the book does involve a girl and a ghost. There is like an unlikely friendship between them because the girl's grandmother, who is a witch, their friendship is, of course, not typical. It would not appear as normal to any other people. This ghost is capable of hurting people. I'm just gonna read the blurb so you won't have to hear me blabber. Soraya is delighted when her witch grandmother gifts her a pelicit. It's specifically the type of ghost that this girl is friends with. So it's not your other kind of ghost where they're just like, boo. She names her ghostly companion Pink because it's her favorite color, and the two quickly became inseparable. But Soraya doesn't know that pelicits have a dark side, and when Pink's shadows threaten to consume them both, they must find enough light to survive before they are both lost to the darkness. Okay, that didn't say much, but it says a lot about the friendship dynamics that the two has. I am living for it. I am regretting that I didn't read this earlier because it's such a fantastic book. I already know that I'm gonna love this. I'm gonna love the ending. I'm gonna love the payoff. So I will hopefully be checking in again once I'm done reading. Goodbye.